Good afternoon, all. My name is Peter Jackson, and I'm going to talk to you about the latest and greatest in microscope cameras. Thanks for joining, and we'll get started. Presentation probably should take all of about 15 minutes, I'm guessing, but let's see how we go. Hopefully you can all see my screen. So Australian Instrument Service was founded in the 80s by John McGuinness. The company was set up primarily to be a service provider to the scientific instrument business, but over the last about 20 or so years, the business has been complemented by a range of scientific products that we sell. Just note that the company was acquired by Precision Tools and Technology in 2022. So that means things like banking details and address and stuff have changed in that time if you haven't dealt with us somewhat recently. So AIS is the exclusive representative of Motic microscopes in Australia and New Zealand, and it has a range of microscopes, digital cameras, slide scanners, and software appropriate for those products. It's also the authorised sales and service agent for A&D balances and other laboratory instruments that they make, such as moisture analyzers, for instance. And we also offer lab tech temperature products and Acumax pipettes. That's my contact details there. And we have a service coordinator based in the Melbourne office also, and her name is Marie Metherell. So she's the best person to contact regarding service inquiries. So Motic company was founded in the 80s. It is a partially Chinese government-owned company, and they claim that they sell over 50,000 microscopes a year. Their manufacturing plant is based in Xiamen in southeast China, and their microscopes are very well distributed all over the world and used by many leading educational institutes. Certainly places like Harvard and so on in the US, and here places like Monash, Sydney Uni have got many sets of Motic microscopes. They also manufacture components for microscopes and microscopes for other companies such as Olympus, and Motic makes all of its own products and components. So every aspect from the electronics to the objectives, lenses, etc., all actually manufactured by Motic itself. We're going to talk about cameras, which is Motic has been involved with for roughly about 20 years. I still see quite a few old ones that are out there. Often they don't work anymore because they can't connect to current versions of Windows or whatever. But if we just think about how we would capture an image, going back when I first started in the business, CCD cameras were quite popular, but now pretty much all the sensors for capturing images in cameras are all CMOS sensors now, which is complementary metal oxide semiconductor. I had to look that up myself, so I thought I'd just let you know that. As I said, Motic is best known for selling microscopes, and this is our very popular range of the BA 5080 educational microscope series, but we're really just going to focus more on the cameras today. And this is most of the range of the Motic digital cameras, from the A series here, which are the more basic cameras. On the right, we've got the S series, which are more industrial, professional type cameras, and they've got some tablets and some Wi-Fi camera offerings as well. Primarily the X5 Plus is the most common Wi-Fi camera we sell, and the Moticam A5 5 megapixel would be the most common USB camera we sell. But they also do have some standalone cameras, such as this 1080X, and I'll show you a couple of other new products that have come out recently as well. So this is a quite new product, the Moticam 4000X. So as it says here, this is a full high-definition standalone camera. That means it can be operated without a computer at all. It basically has what is effectively electronics and a board inside it, and can be connected directly to a HDMI port to a screen, again, without having to go through a PC either by USB or via Wi-Fi. And there's a tablet version of that called the 4000X BMH. And as I said, the specs, it's an 8 megapixel camera, and is a pretty good camera, but it's not cheap. This one, this is roughly about $4,000 compared to some of the others, which we'll talk a little bit about pricing as we go on. This is a brand new product. I don't know much about it, but it says it's a 13 megapixel camera with a tablet and a C-mount included, and it has a USB and HDMI output. So this could be something that we'll offer more in the future, and it's not overly expensive either. So I'm in the process of getting one of these brought into the country to have a look at it myself. Cameras are also used in our digital slide scanners. This is not really in the education space. This is more in the pathology hospital area, but basically cross a microscope with a photocopier and put a camera with it, and you can basically take an image or scan an image of a pathology stained slide. So again, a sort of up and coming area of microscopy. But again, all of these basically have cameras inside them, mostly either the S6 or S12 professional camera. So in terms of what's important in picking a camera, resolution, frame rate, sensor size, pixel size, the interface, the screen, the price, a couple of other considerations, and we'll go through some of these. So the resolution is basically how many pixels you've got in your image, and we can go as high as there. It looks like it's about a 16 megapixel camera there. The more pixels, generally the better the quality and clarity of the image. And frame rates is really for either when you take a video, the speed at which the video is captured. And we also do have some customers who will count things on a stage when they move the stage. And again, you need the frame rate to be high to keep up with the movement of the stage. So higher frame rate is generally better for video performance. Sensor size, this is a case of bigger is better, really. Many of our cameras just have like a 1/3 or 1/2 inch CMOS sensor. I think the biggest sensor we have is about a 1-inch sensor, and obviously professional cameras go up to 35 millimeter sensors in the camera itself. So the Modicam A1 and A2 both have basically a 1/3 of an inch sensor size, or 1/3 inch sensor size. 1 megapixel, 2 megapixel. So the A5, 8 and 16 are again roughly about a 1/3 inch sensor size, and 5, 8 and 16 megapixel rounds out the A series rate. Mostly the USB 2 interfaces, and again frame rates in that sort of 15 to 30 frames per second. Just be wary that to achieve those numbers, you need really high quality computing and some good lighting to be able to actually get that frame rate up as high as the spec will suggest it can go. Pixel size. Here we've got some specs from the S6, S12 and S20 S series cameras. Again, pixel size and frame rates per second for these cameras. As a general purpose camera, probably the S6 is a good option for doing better quality work, and you get the ability to vary the color and the way the image looks a lot more with the S series than with the A series cameras. So again, the A and the S series cameras are USB connected to a laptop or PC. So you need the PC in proximity, obviously, to the camera. We have Wi-Fi and LAN cameras. This is the X5 and the 4000X camera. Wi-Fi sounds kind of cool, and obviously the PC does not need to be in immediate proximity to the camera, but just be wary that when you have a Wi-Fi camera, the camera becomes your Wi-Fi connection on your laptop. So you can no longer connect to your normal network. The actual camera itself is your Wi-Fi connection. And as I said, we have these HDMI standalone cameras that don't require a PC and can basically connect directly to a large TV or a monitor for public display. We do offer tablets connected to or built into the camera. This is, I think it used to be a lot more popular, but it's probably less popular now, because obviously if something goes wrong with either the camera or the tablet, they can't be separated necessarily, and you've got to basically replace the whole device. But we do offer 8, 10, and 12, essentially 12-inch full HD screen cameras. Okay, so in terms of the pricing, the A series ranges from, say, $800 up to about $2,000 for the A16. Again, the most popular one we sell is the A5, which is roughly about $1,000. The S series, which as I said, we'd probably call more professional use, not really school use, for instance. They can go as high as $2,000 to $3,000 for those cameras. And the full HD multitasking cameras with USB output or pardon me, HDMI output, those cameras are somewhere the $2,000 to $4,000 price range. It's worth noting that the FOV, or so-called field of view, that you see will depend upon the eyepiece size that you've got in your microscope. So here's an example of some different eyepiece sizes in terms of millimeters. Obviously, the bigger the size of the eyepiece, the more you'll see of the slide. And the bigger the sensor, the more you'll also see of the slide when you look at the digital image. So for a small A5 camera, which is 1/3 of an inch sensor, again, you're not seeing all the slide, you're just seeing a part of the slide. And another thing to be aware of is that I see a lot of customers who expect, when you focus the microscope on a slide, they expect the camera then to be focused, but you have to be aware that the cameras are not auto-focusing. So if you focus the microscope and then look at the actual image on your PC of what the camera is seeing, it's not always the same as what you see through the objectives or through the eyepiece. So typically you either focus using either the microscope manually, or you focus specifically on the image on your computer and you focus what the camera is seeing. The two are not always exactly the same. Just another consideration with a camera and a microscope is that to connect the camera to the microscope, you need something called a C-mount. Sometimes it's called as in camera mount. Sometimes it's called a camera adapter or adapter. And the adapter is specific to both the camera and the microscope. So you cannot assume that basically the camera can go onto any microscope or particularly any other vendor's microscope. So we often have people say, oh, I want to put one of your cameras on my Olympus, and generally that doesn't work out. So these are C mounts that are specific for different microscopes that Motic makes. This is just a normal BA210. This is a B1. I think this is a SMZ 141 or something like that. So if we look at the sensor size, so if we pick this one here, the S1, it's got a 1/3 sensor size. So we recommend a C mount that is, we call it a 0.35x, or you could use a 0.4x C mount to use that sensor, and so on and so on. So basically, when we quote you a microscope and a camera, we'll quote the appropriate C mount that is suitable to fit both the camera and the microscope. As I said, it's very rare to be able to mount our cameras onto other vendors' microscopes. One thing is that all our cameras are the same though. So this C-ring that you see here, the thread on that will fit every one of our cameras. So effectively, if you've got a camera and a C mount, our cameras will always fit with our own products, at least in terms of the C mount. I've been talking about the image. So the Motic 3.1 image plus software is supplied with the camera. This software does not require any passcode or key code or anything like that. It's basically, you can install it from the USB that's provided in the box, and you can install it on as many computers as you like, and there's no ongoing, what's the right word, ongoing fee or anything to continue to use it. And every 2 or 3 years, the software does get upgraded, and again, it should be free to upgrade it. Probably the most useful thing, or one of the most useful functions in the software, is you can actually take measurements. We almost never sell reticles or graded eyepieces because pretty much most people, if they want to measure something, will capture the image in the software and use a little ruler in the software after it's been calibrated to take measurements that way. So speaking of what is in the box, so the box, no, I don't have one. So the box actually contains the camera, a C-ring, a calibration slide, a macro tube, so you can actually literally connect the camera onto just like a little stand and basically zoom straight in on something without using the microscope at all. It will contain a cable. It also contains like a 30 and 38 millimeter adapter, so you can mount the camera onto the eyepiece of the microscope if you don't have a trinocular microscope. And what is not in the box, as I said, there's no C mount included in the camera, because as I said, that's specific to the microscope that you're going to attach it to. Just to go back on that a little bit more. So the ideal way to use a digital camera is to have what we call a trinocular microscope. So it's got 1, 2, 3 ports, and the C mount then goes on and connects to the Moticam camera. If you don't have a microscope like that, or it is a non-Motic microscope, you can just simply manually connect the eyepiece to the camera by using this adapter, which is included in the camera kit. And there's a focusable macro lens that actually lets you set it up properly. So this is essentially a universal way of mounting a camera onto a microscope. It's not anywhere near as elegant as obviously mounting it this way, but this is the way that you can connect the camera to basically any microscope. Better to be done on a binocular microscope, obviously, because if you connect it onto a monocular microscope, then you can't see through the eyepiece whatsoever. And getting toward the end, so just lastly, we have a software product called MoticNet, and that lets you basically set up a classroom environment where you could have, say, 40 or 50 Wi-Fi cameras connected to a special modem that is supplied with this software, and it lets you basically see the images from all of the different microscopes in the classroom, and the teacher can also have control and look at images on different students' microscopes. And there's even like a chat function within there, kind of like WhatsApp for a microscope. And basically you can tell the student to adjust their microscope or move the image around or do something like that. So it's really intended for large size classrooms. Mostly we find in universities here or laboratories like at school and whatever, they're not big enough, and the teachers normally walk around the class all the time. So it's really intended for, you know, large size classrooms. And with that, I'll thank you for attending. Thank you for your attendance. And does anyone have any questions? Okay, not for now. So we'll stop sharing. And thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you next time around.